Well, Becky, thank you. Thanks very much. Last time I saw Becky, last time I was with Becky, I see her almost every morning, like many other folks in here. Last time I was with her was on CNBC with two of my co-founders from Home Depot, Bernie Marcus, who's not here tonight, and Ken Langone. And usually I have to shout to get a word in, and this is really unique tonight for me to have the microphone and Ken to not, because that's not going to stop Ken. So thank you for being here, Ken and Elaine. Thank you. It was great getting caught up with you tonight and your family, boys, and what have you. So I'm honored to co-chair this event tonight, again, with Tony Hooper, and to be here in support of a great organization that helps so many courageous and determined people along with their families. And I'm proud to be a supporter of AIS and have done so for the last 3 years, and have seen firsthand, as many of the other speakers have tonight, the impact of the staff's work on countless lives. So I thank everybody here tonight for your dedication and for freeing the voices, and as I said to Suzy Welch at dinner, the souls of so many people. Let me also thank tonight two of my NFL colleagues that are here tonight, Ellis Lankster of the Jets and Trumaine McBride of the Giants. Trumaine, and I wish them both well this year, except the Giants. We come up here to play in New York this year. Trumaine forgot that, but I reminded him we're coming up here to visit him. So we'll look forward to that. But thank you both for being here tonight, represented the league and represented our close to 2,000 players in the league. You both are great examples, shining examples to the young folks that are here tonight and others that may see this program tonight, that stuttering is not an impediment to succeeding at the highest levels, and you certainly are good examples of that. It's a real pleasure for me tonight to pay tribute to one of the honorees this evening. He's a friend for more than 30 years, has been a mentor, been a teacher, a trainer of me and Lord knows how many other business folks for so many years, Jack Welch. Jack is a legendary businessman, not because he says so, but because the results of his work and everybody else says it's true. He's one of the most admired and successful, respected executives in modern history in the United States, really for that matter throughout the world. And he lives by the principle, and I quote him, control your own destiny or somebody else will. And that's just what Jack has done throughout his life. And here are a couple of things you may not know about Jack. And Suzy can probably give you a very, very long list, but I'll give you a short list, but a couple of interesting points. After working his way up through GE, after many, many years, Jack became the company's youngest ever chief executive officer. He went on to transform GE into one of the world's most admired and successful companies, as Becky and Ken and everybody else in this room is aware of. During his 20-year tenure as CEO of GE, the stock went up, the value, I should say, of the company went up by 4,000%, making it the most valuable corporation in the world when Jack retired. Jack redefined the standard for all kinds of views of management at GE. His system for maximizing talent and inspiring innovation is truly an art form and one that he developed to the highest possible level. So much that today businessmen around the world and businesswomen around the world use the model, the GE model, in terms of how to structure their own organization for success. Even when GE was at the highest level of success, Jack was humble enough to seek guidance when he first became aware or saw opportunities within his company, as great as it was, for improvement. And Ken may remember this, but just before I retired from HD in 2001, Jack asked me to come and speak to their senior management because he felt that the company just had not had the connection with customer service that was the institution and the essence of the greatness of Home Depot for the 23 years that I was there with Ken and Bernie, and for the early years that it's being run now by Frank Blake, doing a fabulous job. So we spent time together, talked to their senior management about it, and this is kind of typical of Jack. It was, how do I get, I'm already great, and how do I become even better in running this organization? So we were fortunate to have that relationship, and I learned a great deal from Jack really throughout the years, and I admired him. And so when I had the opportunity to come forward tonight and speak in his behalf and to honor him, it was an honor for me to be asked to do that. Jack's been quoted as saying, before you're a leader, success is all about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is all about growing others. And how true that is, that's never changed. It never changed in Jack Welch's mind. It's never changed in my mind, the mind of all the business leaders that are here tonight. That combination of humility and vision helps define Jack's character, and so does his competitive spirit. I've played enough golf with Jack to see that, and I still remember when Jack had returned us a favor and joined our management team for a day, and talking about his views of management and growth of talent, et cetera. And he came running down the halls of our store support center waving a card. It was a scorecard. And the weekend before, with a huge grin on his face, the weekend before, from a different set of tees, but still straight up, he had beaten Greg Norman. And he was so proud of that. So when his second book came out in 2005, it was no surprise to me, or probably anybody else in this room, that it was simply titled Winning. Many are surprised that such a charismatic leader could grow up with a speech disorder, speech stutter and blockage the way that Jack did. And like many of us, Jack struggled with stuttering, and he faced the difficult challenges, and yet he was able to achieve and overcome it. But he never allowed that condition to slow him down, never allowed that condition to become a barrier to anything that he did really throughout his life. He excelled both from an academic standpoint, from an athletic standpoint, eventually earning a PhD in chemical engineering. Jack credits his mother. I asked him this question after a round of golf at Eastlake, and I was telling Suzy the story a few minutes ago. I asked him, well, what was the biggest factor that helped him deal with this? And he said his mother, Grace. His mother was the motivation for his success in many ways and the strongest influence in his life. She encouraged his son to stand proud. She instilled the confidence to him that became one of the most recognizable traits that Jack Welch has had throughout of his entire life. And Grace refused to let Jack see his condition as a limitation, and used to say to him repeatedly, "You stutter because you're so smart. You stutter because no one's tongue could possibly keep up with a brain like yours." And in case of Jack Welch, that's absolutely true, and probably true for a lot of folks in this room as well. Jack, feeling this support, never let his physical limitation define who he was or stand in the way of what he wanted to accomplish. He didn't allow his stutter to stifle his potential or afflict his self-esteem in any way, shape, or form. And he always remained true to the principle that guided him. He controlled his own destiny. He didn't let others do it for him. As you may know, Jack is not able to be here tonight due to his back surgery, and Lord willing, he'll be up and playing golf and working at his business school again in a very short order. Representing Jack tonight, we're blessed in having Suzy. Jack dropped me a note. I hadn't had a chance really to meet Suzy until tonight, and he was accurate in all of his portrayals of his wife. He said that she's much better looking, which is certainly true. She's probably a lot smarter than I am, which may be true as well. And she's certainly a lot better looking, which is absolutely true. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in honoring Jack Welch with the Freeing Voices Changing Lives Leadership Award and welcoming Suzy Welch. Thank you, Suzy.
Well, thank you, Arthur, very much. I just got to tell you, as soon as I can, I'm gonna text Jack and say, Arthur told the Greg Norman story. I mean, he will be so overjoyed. That's his favorite story. He did indeed beat Greg Norman, and in the years after that, Greg Norman constantly, every time we're lucky enough to see him, he says, Jack, please, a rematch. I can't stand it. Everywhere I go, people say, Jack Welch says, you beat him at golf, and Jack says, no way. You couldn't pay me enough money to have a rematch. He wants that to stay. So thank you, and thank you for that wonderful introduction of Jack. And I have to say, I'm very thrilled that there's sort of an award that goes along with this sort of trophy, because I think Jack, he's really proud he's a stutterer. He's like, I'm a stutterer, hear me roar. I mean, he feels like it's, he never holds back about telling people, I have a stammer, and he's proud of it, and he just believes that it doesn't define you, and you'll actually hear from him in a video in a moment. But it's rare to have an opportunity for me to be able to talk about Jack without Jack in the room. So I can say whatever I want. So I'm going to say some stuff that Jack would probably just run up on stage and stop me. Now, of course, he's not running lately because of his back surgery, and you tell these stories about golf. Don't ever let anyone tell you that golf is a victimless crime, because Jack is evidence right now that golf, if you play 36 holes a day the way he used to like to, will eventually catch up with you. But as he was coming out of his surgery, and he was still in that happy anesthesia phase, that sort of, I can fly kind of stage, the first words out of his mouth were, "I think I can make it to that event in New York." And we're like, yeah, okay, we'll see about that, honey. So I have a theory about my husband, and as my kids will tell you, I have a lot of theories, but this theory, I came up with it about 10 years ago. And I tell you that because it came up when we were writing Winning together, and it stood the test of time. And it's this. I've heard over the years a lot of people try to explain to me why Jack was successful. Jack was successful because he's so competitive. Jack is successful because he doesn't really need sleep. Jack is successful because he has an incredible memory for name. Jack loves people. There are all these theories about why he succeeded the way he did. But my theory is that Jack is successful because he stuttered. And here's how I figure it. When Jack was young, he had a lot of stuff to say. He still has a lot of stuff to say, but he had a lot of stuff to say. And he couldn't get it out, okay? He had that problem with B's and W's. He couldn't get it out. And the antidote that he found was, when he could get it out, was to get it out in the simplest, bluntest way he could. And he found out that just stating the truth, that was the shortest way to get out what he wanted to get out. And he would just say what he was thinking. And he didn't do any gymnastics with it. It's funny, he ended up with an editor who does all I do is gymnastics with my words, but he just got out exactly what he was thinking. And he found out really quickly, as we often do, that when you just say what you mean, and you're completely authentic, and you don't BS around, that you become wildly popular, and people want to be near you. And it was immediately reinforcing to him. He didn't ever play around with words. He just said what he could, which was the truth as he saw it. And it reinforced, he built, and he got his self-confidence from the reaction. And it was stuttering that started that. It was the freshet, it was the source of what led him to become the extraordinary leader that he was. And so I tried that theory out on him, by the way, many times. And he goes, yeah. He doesn't want to have it because he sees himself and his success as not anything he did, but the stuff that they did, the stuff that the team did. And so he, I don't know if he heard me saying this. I'll tell him I said it later. Maybe I'll get away with it because of the Greg Norman story. We'll cover up for it. But I do believe that his stutter, in my opinion, was really, it led him to the place that he got to, because he found out that candor and your own truth and your own authenticity is reinforced by those around you. So I think he loves this organization very much. He loves what it does. He's passionate about what it does. He really wanted to be here. And in fact, he did make a video to speak to you all directly tonight. I want to thank you on his behalf so much for honoring him. And I think I agree with him so much. This is an incredible organization doing incredible things. So on behalf of Jack, thank you so much. And now I guess we'll hear from him.
Good evening, everybody. And thank you, Arthur, so much. What a treat it is to be introduced by you. Arthur's one of my favorite examples of living life to the fullest. A true entrepreneur, and now the owner of the Atlanta Falcons. What a great retirement present that is. Arthur, congratulations and thanks. It's an honor to be with you. It's also a great honor to be with Jes Staley. Jes was not only one of the smartest guys at J.P. Morgan, he was also about the nicest. A terrific guy with lots of brain power and the humility to go with it. Jes, it's a treat to be a partner with you in tonight's ceremony. My story about stammering stems from my mom. I was a young kid in a middle-class town, Salem, Massachusetts, playing a lot of sports and being teased brutally about my stammer. My stammer at that time was almost impossible. But when I came home and told my mom about what had happened and the teasing, etc., she'd say, Jack, don't let that bother you. Your mind just works so fast, your tongue can't keep up with you. And that was one of the foundations that gave me the self-confidence the rest of my life to deal with stammering. You know how important self-confidence is. Over the years, I've had lots of parents send their children to me. I'd ask the kid, hey, how's your job going? He'd say, great. How's your love life? Oh, I got a great girlfriend. I said, why are you seeing me? He said, my parents wanted to, because my parents are embarrassed by my stuttering. I said, so what's wrong with your life? Because you've got just the right stuff you need. A great job, a great girlfriend, a great life. You're happy with yourself. That's all you need. Well, I know AIS and other people do lots of work technically to improve stammering, and I appreciate so much the work they do. The more you can surround yourself with people who respect you, who support you, who every day know stammering doesn't define you. It's not who you are. It's something you're dealing with. And it's all about you and where you're going that counts. So thank you again for the honor. And to Nolan Russo, thanks so much for having such a great event. And thank you to all the people, the volunteers and the others who work so hard to make so many of us stammerers improve technically, and most of all, improve in the soul, so that we have the confidence to get over what can never define us. Thank you very much. Have a great night.